Hello and welcome to the matchup presented by Unibet alongside Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson, who you can hear on The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio. I'm Rob King. We're getting you ready for the 2-10 New England Patriots visiting the 7-5 Steelers on Thursday night. Before we look ahead to the key matchups, a quick look back at a very disappointing loss to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, a loss that Mike Tomlin called horrible. He said it was a JV performance. Plenty of blame to go around offensively, defensively, special teams, and as Mike Tomlin pointed out, the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was a complete team loss, and you know, typically when you have games like that, they are. And, you know, hopefully for the Steelers, they got that all out of their system. Everybody had a bad performance on the same weekend. The penalties, the miscues, you know, not having guys lined up correctly, all the things that you'd like to think would be solved by this time and that wouldn't be an issue at this point in the season were issues. You would think that everybody is back now ultra focused again here, and those shouldn't be a problem going forward.
100%, and something Dale and I talk about on The Drive all the time is step one when preparing for opponent isn't how do we beat the opponent, is how do we not lose. And this was a clinic in how to lose a football game, which has been the opposite of how the Steelers have played all year. You know, winning the margins, penalties, turnovers, things of that nature that have gone their way, even when yardage hasn't, they found a way to win. Well, this was the total opposite.
Yep, Steelers lose that game. They drop to 7-5. They still have, amazingly, the 5th seed in a very, very crowded AFC wildcard picture. They obviously didn't do themselves any favors by losing to Arizona. Now they take on a 2-10 New England team. Let's look at the key matchups. We begin with the Steelers offense. We begin with Matt Williamson trying to get to 100 yards rushing in this game.
Yeah, and that doesn't sound like much. And frankly, it isn't considering how well the Steelers are running the football. They've become a high-quality running team with 2 good backs, good blockers, good scheme, etc. But I don't think anyone thinks this game is going to be a race to 40 on Thursday. I mean, this is going to be a low-scoring game, an excellent Patriots defense you're facing, and every yard's going to be hard to come by. And 100 yards is an arbitrary number, but I think if you get to that number, there's a good chance you outscore the Patriots.
Yeah, this Patriots team only gives up 3.2 yards per carry this year, and 88 yards overall per game. It kind of shows you how opponents have been able to continue to attack them, though, that they're only giving up 3.2 yards per carry, and it's still 88 yards. So you do have to not only run the football, but stick with it in those situations, because there are going to be times where it gets slowed down a little bit.
Well, we talk about trends, too. The Steelers are trending upward in running the ball, but New England's trending upward in their defense against the run. They've only allowed 52.3 yards per game in their last 3. That's the best in the NFL. They're, I think, 3rd overall in yards per game, but best over the last 3. So they're trending in the right direction. But again, like you said, this is probably not going to be a race to 40, which then, Dale, leads us to your point where field position is going to be key in this game.
It absolutely is, Rob. And if you look at the Patriots game against the Chargers, they had 11 possessions overall. 8 of them started inside their own 20. It's no wonder that an offense that was already challenged, failed to score in that game. They had possessions that started at their 13, 6, 9, 9, 13, 18, 2, and 13. There's a trend there. If you can do that to these guys, they're going to have trouble scoring. Their longest offensive performance or offensive series in the game was 49 yards. So if you're pinning them back inside their own 20 and they can only get 40, 50 yards, you're going to get the ball back in not in great field position, but there's some chances there if you win that field position battle, they're not going to score.
Fans are going to groan about this, but sometimes it's okay to punt.
Absolutely, and especially on Thursday, to be honest. And to piggyback off what Dale was saying, I think we both know that these aren't high-flying offenses that are meeting on Thursday, but they're both at the bottom of the league in terms of where they start their drives for the season. I mean, they're playing on a lot of long fields.
Yep. So now again, this whole theme, get 100 yards, win the field position battle. I'm with you guys. I mean, we talked a lot about, hey, come out of the tunnel and try to put some yards up and try to score some points. But I want to see more Muth. That's my key. Not because I think New England's necessarily easy to attack in the middle of the field, but because Freiermuth in his last 24 targets, he has 19 receptions. He's a good safety blanket for Mitch Trubisky, who's going to be, starting at quarterback in this game for the Steelers. Don't try to do too much. People talk about, hey, Mitch Trubisky's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. Well, this is a game in which I don't think, much like Arizona, you don't want to give these guys, any free plays or free downs. You don't want to turn the ball over to them. You don't want to make mistakes. I think if you can target the middle of the field of Freiermuth, maybe it's the running backs coming out of the backfield, but I'm choosing Freiermuth. I think controlling the ball is going to be a big key to this game.
Yeah, and a 5-yard gain is going to be a big gain in this game. You don't have to go for everything all at one time, and if you can just meticulously move the ball down the field, pick up some first downs, again, helping you win that field position battle. Let their offense be the one that screws up. They will turn the football over.
And real quick on Freiermuth, I think we all remember 2 games ago he went crazy, of course. But these past 2 games, he has more combined targets than the rest of the year combined. So he's going to be a major part of the offense.
I like meticulous. I was thinking Hank Stram, meticulously matriculate the ball down the field in this game. All right, each week answer Steelers trivia, make game day picks for a chance to win great prizes. It's our Yins chat, and we have our question for you this week. You answer the questions correctly, you get double the points. Log into the Steelers mobile app now and play for a chance at this week's prize. Here's the question. George Pickens versus Deontay Johnson, more receiving yards in this game. I want to go Freiermuth, but he's not part of the question. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson.
I'm going to go the opposite way,
Okay.
Rob, because Pickens is usually targeted further down the field. It only takes 1 or 2 catches for him to get one of those big ones or 2 of those big ones. If he has 2 catches for 60 yards or something like that, Deontay has 5 for 60. That's typically the way this goes.
Yeah, I don't want to split the difference. I don't feel strong about either, to be honest. But my input on it, though, is
Got to have an answer.
this is heavy man defense,
Yeah.
and they both do very good work against man coverage. Deontay does really good work against both man and zone. Pickens is still a little bit of a work in progress against zone, but destroys man. I'm going to go with Pickens on a big play. Just a hunch.
Okay, 2 against 1. All right, I see how it goes. We will not revisit this
What
next
do you
week,
think?
depending
Is it-
upon
is
what
it us or
happens.
is it
That's
Rob?
right.
That's what we're
Log in. That's exactly right. Up next, hey, look at the key matchups for when the Patriots have the ball, the Patriots offense against the Steelers defense, when the matchup presented by Unibet continues.
Want to get gear direct from the team? Shop all things black and gold at the official Steelers Pro Shop located at Acrisure Stadium. Get the latest sideline apparel and hats, jerseys of your favorite players, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can only find here. Don't forget, you aren't game day ready without a terrible towel. The Steelers Pro Shop has everything you need to be part of the legendary Steelers Nation. Come experience the Acrisure Stadium shopping environment or shop online at shop.steelers.com.
Welcome back to the matchup presented by Unibet alongside Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson. I'm Rob King. Thanks very much for being with us. As we look at this Patriots offense, this is an offense that has, first of all, the team's lost 5 in a row for the first time since 1995. They haven't been shut out at home twice in a season in over 2 decades as well. They've only given up 10 points or fewer in the last 3 games. They've lost all 3. The last team to do that was the 1938 Chicago Cardinals. This is not an explosive
Was
Patriots.
the ball blown up or stuffed back there?
Yeah, it was like a little rounder, like Sammy Ball was kicking it, 50 yards down the field. Yeah, a little different, not for the Washington, not for the Chicago Cardinals. Now, when you look at this, though, for the Steelers, now you wonder about the communication issue. You're down to your, 3 linebackers. Your top 3 linebackers are all out. Landon Roberts was the last guy who had the green dot and trying to communicate. Now he's out. They've got to figure out on a short week not only who's going to man the inside linebacker position, but who's going to communicate. And we saw some communication errors in this loss to the Cardinals.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they looked outside the box a little bit on that to maybe allow Minkah Fitzpatrick or DeMonte KZ to be the communicator in this Thursday night game, because you're looking for a guy that never leaves the field, and I don't know that you're going to have that with those inside linebackers this week. You may be mixing and matching a little bit, so it wouldn't surprise me if one of the safeties ends up being your play caller this week.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add except for you have to get it right, and you have to get it right quick because there's a game right around the corner. You don't
And
have
the
7
tough
days
part,
to think
guys,
about
is
it.
that this is a home game. If this were on the road, it would be a little bit easier
That's
because
loud,
the road team or the road fans are always quieter when their offense is on the field, as opposed to the fans at Acrisure Stadium. they're going to be loud when the defense is on the field because they're trying to disrupt the other team's offense.
And I think you brought up a good point in the show earlier we did with Craig Wolfley, Matt, this week, that if you don't have that communication, you don't feel comfortable with it, you might be more inclined to sit in a base defense and do less things defensively. That's going to make it easier for the opposing offense.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but you got to think when you lose your green dot guy late in the half this past week, you're probably thinking deep down, let's just hold them to whatever, play base defenses, get to the locker room and figure it out from there. Well, it's not how it worked out.
All right, so there's communication, but there's also who's going to man that inside linebacker position. That's a key for me, my number one key matchup in this game when the Patriots have the ball, because they've been able to run the ball. Now, Ramondre Stevenson, don't know whether he's going to actually be able to go on Thursday. Doesn't look like it. So they go with Ezekiel Elliott, who's also been pretty good for Stevenson. But that tandem has averaged 154 yards rushing over the last three. We're talking about trends. That's among the best in the NFL over the last three games. So this is a team that can run the ball, and you would imagine they're going to test those inside linebackers for the Steelers.
Yeah, and they also like to use their tight ends as well, although Mike Gesicki only played about 6 snaps last week. So those guys are going to be stressed not only in the run game but in the passing game as well. Stevenson is not only their leading rusher, he's their leading receiver too. And he touched the ball in just almost 63% of their plays before he went out of that game. So he was a big part of the offense. They're not going to do that with Ezekiel Elliott. And really, they don't even have another running back on their roster right now to kind of even be that secondary guy. So I'd expect them to elevate somebody before the game. But Stevenson is a handful. Them not having him is a big blow. Ezekiel Elliott's still a big name, but he's not quite the level. He's not Stevenson. Stevenson's a much better back at this point.
He's not the Elliott of old, but still effective.
Right.
He's still been effective,
yeah.
and they still, that's what they want to do, especially with Bailey Zappi at quarterback if he's going to be the guy.
So we all know that this is not the Patriots of old, Brady and what we've been used to, and their record reflects that. I mean, they're struggling, but really they run the ball well and they play very good defense. I mean, it's the passing game that's been holding them back, amongst some other things that we'll get to. So the running game really hasn't been problematic for them.
Well, we obviously know here in Pittsburgh that Mitch Trubisky, the backup quarterback, is going to be starting for the Steelers. Bailey Zappi, the backup quarterback in New England, gets another start for them. And your key, Dale, is to turn him over.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to get pressure on him on the edges. I think T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, whether the other guys are in there as well. You have to win against these tackles. They were rotating at left tackle last week with Trent Brown and Connor McDermott. Both of them allowed sacks. The right tackle, Michael Onwenu, I can never say that.
Yeah, I avoided too.
He gave up a sack as well. Khalil Mack had a big day, a couple of sacks in that game. Zappi will hold the ball a little bit, so if you can get to him and maybe force some errant throws or just get the ball in the air somehow and let your guys get a chance to run under, because Zappi doesn't have a big time arm. He's more of a let's just get it out and be quick with it. If you can disrupt that, you can maybe make some things happen.
So your keys are very similar, right? Dominate the edge, get to Zappi. That's where turnovers happen, right? When you get to the quarterback, a lot of times you force him to throw quickly, you get a strip sack, that sort of thing. So sort of the two combining here a little bit.
No question, and it does start with those edge guys, because we realize that the edge guys for the Steelers are very good pass rushers, but they're also, frankly, the best in the league over the last couple of years at getting the ball out. And a big key for me is turnovers / special teams, because special teams has been a major problem for the Patriots now for 2 years running, which is
crazy,
un-Belichick-like, to say the least. But the turnovers, they're at the total opposite spectrum than the Steelers. The Steelers are basically the best in the league. Patriots are basically the worst in the league. And if you can keep that trend at least slightly going, no matter how it happens, you're in good shape for this game.
And you mentioned special teams. I think the kickers alone, Chris Boswell, we know how great he's been.
Yeah.
Chad Ryland, they spent a 4th round pick on this guy. He has his 2nd worst field goal percentage in the league.
Yeah, he's 12 of 18 this season, and that's not good enough in today's NFL by a long stretch.
Yeah.
All right, so a key matchup for the Steelers, who will be taking on the 2-12 New England Patriots. The Steelers still have the 5th seed. That game is coming your way on Thursday night at Acrisure Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled for 8:15. For Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson, I'm Rob King. Thanks for watching The Matchup, presented by Unibet.